Yeah, this is not bad. Okay, good. So a Z buffer basically works by taking a scene and putting it through a grate, if you will, that represents the set of pixels that you're looking at on an individual screen. Okay, imagine that you're taking the scene and just kind of drawing it forward and figuring out what color should be at each pixel. But you pull the scene through the grate. But this turns out to, the yellow line down on the bottom says that this is a pseudo-sort problem and doesn't lend itself well to parallelism. Okay? Ray tracing, on the other hand, inverts the problem. It says, take a light source that's right by your eye and fire it at the scene and let it bounce around. That's as simple a form of description as I can give you. But it inverts the problem and says, let the light project from your eye and see what happens. That turns out to be parallelizable. And you can scale it to handle massive data sets by adding more CPUs to the mix. So I'm going to show you a little film clip here. That is an example of a dual Pentium running through a ray tracing algorithm at about a frame per second. And this is 350 million triangles that can scale to real time. No, I can't. This is a film. Yeah, okay, sorry. So I don't think anybody in the US has seen this film clip as yet, outside of Boeing. So anyway, welcome to the world of very high performance 3D computer graphics that allow a user to cope with complexity using the most efficient channel we have to deal with complexity, which is visual. Okay? The idea of this talk is to give you some idea of what it's like to be a computer guy, and I'm a techno geek, okay, to be a computer guy who cares about how computers interact with people, because that's the essential part of what we bring to the table. How can we make our global community communicate more effectively with massive amounts of information? Okay, and this last part is my favorite part because you get to actually see what some of the spaghetti in the cockpit looks like. And if any of you know how to fly a 777 after this clip, you're doing a heck of a lot better than I am. Sure. So imagine that you have a basic. The basic idea is, let's see. Let me get this thing to stop. So basically, what happens is that you allow multiple processors to subdivide the problem so you can work on individual parts simultaneously. Okay, with a sort algorithm, when you're dealing with sorting a scene, you basically have to have, it's a single processor job. So when you scale it with complexity, the scale starts growing quite quickly in terms of the ramp up, the amount of time it takes to do the sort problem. If you're doing things in parallel and can say, I want one processor to handle this section of the screen, one processor to handle this set of rays, another this set of rays, they can all be computed independently of one another, and you can glue them together at the end of the processing to make the composite picture. Okay? So here's the conclusion. I'm trying to limit this to 10 minutes. There's a huge amount of interesting work to happen in all aspects of computer science. I'm representing one of them because I'm a user interface and computer graphics guy. The idea is, how can we use those channels to allow computers to communicate more effectively to all of us through computing technology? That's it. Yes, I do. Abigail. feel free.
Actually, Sean was going to see if he could get it through.
Sean, do you still have the CD?
They can run it from there, that's fine.
Do you have
No, they're going to run it from there.
Okay, no problem.
We have the technology, we'll use it.
Right. Okay, I wanted to introduce Abigail Cook, again from Concurrent Technologies. Her history in jobs was quite impressive. She had jobs that involved testing various thickness of gold for switch contacts. And I would go, wow, how can you measure that little tiny amount? But somehow she was able to do that. Select equipment for new factory while surviving the startup of a new factory, which can be very challenging. And she also came up with a way to make a scanner that took 30 days, made it in just 3 days. And one of the things that was kind of impressed that I liked about her was that she said the best advice she ever received was to be true to herself. And have you kept to that?
As I discover who I am, I become true to that.
All right, here's Abigail.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm gonna turn up the annoying screen. There you go.
And my PowerPoint presentation is, whether it comes on or not is fine with me. I can try. I'll speak into the microphone, how about that? Okay, I'm going to push it even a little further. How many of you, like me, voted 2 weeks ago? Yes! No standing in the rain. You get to ignore the ads for the last 2 weeks. You know, it's free. They send you your ballot. Sign up for it. Permanent absentee status, no problem. It's one of the benefits of living in Washington. The rest of you, take your umbrellas. My talk today is called an experimental career. Because as I look back, I remember the people who told me I should be planning 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead. And I refused. It didn't appeal to me at all. I am an advocate of the scientific method. Observe, hypothesize, test, observe, refine the hypothesis, and repeat. And I've been doing that for several years now. Trying to put this presentation together, I wanted to put myself in your shoes. A difficult task because some of you are ahead of me, some of you are coming up after me. None of you are quite like me, but I thought I could start by telling you a little bit about where I am now in my career and where I was 30 years ago in the time between high school and college. I also have a couple of suggestions for where you should go. This is a family audience. It won't be too explicit. I'm going to talk to you about my professional passion and then conclude with inviting you to join me in seeking out your professional passion and making your career from that. I am 49 years, 11 months, and 1 day old, and I'm not worried about turning 50 at all. I am married with one son. He was raised in a stay-at-home parent household. I worked full-time. Let's see, that makes my husband the stay-at-home dad. We've been married for 30 years. Our son is 24. We own our own home. I own, jointly with BMW Financing, a 2004 Mini Cooper, bright red, white top, white wheels, white window caps. I love her. Her name is Livia. And did I mention I'm an absentee voter? How I got here, we'll fast backward. I got my Bachelor of Science degree at age 22. I got my MBA at age 42. My husband, that stay-at-home dad, realized that he needed to do something after the kid wasn't at home anymore, and he kept staying there and there was no kid. He earned his associate's degree. Actually, they earned them together. Associate's degrees in 1999. My husband was 47. He got his Bachelor of Fine Arts in Photography in 2001 and his Master's of Fine Arts in 2003 at age 51. So in my household, we have examples of early students, late students. That's okay. That's okay. Nope. Sean, no problem. So somewhere in there you may find yourself or your friends or your parents or your children